Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this tonight is not just another night of sleep. Tonight is a doorway. When you lie down and allow yourself to drift, you are not only resting the body, you are stepping into a quantum journey where consciousness is reshaped, where the truest version of yourself is already waiting with open arms. No effort is needed, no struggle, only the gentle permission to let go, to let the breath carry you inward. And when the sun rises, you will not awaken as the same person who closed their eyes the night before. You will awaken as yourself, yet more complete, more whole, more alive than ever before. This is not a fantasy, nor an escape. It is what happens when we understand that the field of life is always reflecting the vibration we hold. Think of it like tuning a radio. For years, you may have kept your dial stuck on static, hearing noise, living through limitation. But tonight, you turn that dial. You tune into a station where your future self is already speaking, already singing the song of freedom, abundance, and peace. And as you fall into deep sleep, that station begins to play through your body, through your mind, through every cell. As you rest, the old patterns slowly loosen their grip. Fear no longer clings. Scarcity no longer dictates your choices. The past begins to feel like a dream, dissolving at dawn. And in its place, a new rhythm emerges, steady, strong, and luminous. It is the heartbeat of your future self pulsing within you, whispering, "You are ready. You were always ready." Imagine your body as a temple, not of stone and mortar, but of living light, every cell glowing softly, every breath carrying renewal. In this timeline, health is no longer something you fight to maintain. It sustains itself, like a garden blooming in perfect balance with the seasons. The aches and weights of yesterday begin to soften, and what remains is vitality, life force flowing as naturally as water through a clear stream. And what of love here? In this future, you are stepping into. Relationships no longer feel like negotiations or conditions. You are surrounded by souls who recognize you, not for what you can give them, not for the masks you wear, but for the light you carry. They see your essence, and you see theirs. Family becomes harmonious. Friendships deepen into rivers of trust. Partnerships blossom with mutual evolution. Love no longer hurts. Love becomes the air you breathe. All of this happens because you are no longer dragging the weight of the old self into the new day. Tonight is the invitation to release the suitcase of stories. The tired roles, the internal narrator that always told you, "This is just who I am." That voice fades, like an echo down a long hallway, and another voice rises, calm, confident, radiant. It is the voice of the self who already knows how to walk through life with ease. And what does that ease look like? It looks like freedom. Not just freedom from bills or time or obligations, but freedom inside your chest. Freedom in how you breathe, how you move, how you choose. Freedom to say yes when the heart says yes. Freedom to rest when the body whispers rest. In this timeline, life is not a treadmill of striving. It is a dance floor, and the music plays exactly when you are ready to move. Do not think you must force this transformation. That is the old way, the way of effort and resistance. Tonight's journey is different. It asks nothing from you but willingness. Willingness to lie down, willingness to breathe, willingness to trust that the intelligence guiding your heartbeat is also guiding your destiny. Like a river that does not strain to reach the sea, you too can allow the current of your own consciousness to carry you forward. And as you allow, something extraordinary happens. Joy awakens not because of any outer event, not because of achievements or possessions, but because joy is your original frequency. You may remember moments when you felt it watching a sunset, hearing a child's laughter, being held by someone you love. That joy is not gone. It is never left. It waits beneath the noise, ready to rise, as soon as you stop gripping the wheel. In your sleep tonight, joy will become magnetic, drawing to you the particles of light that carry codes of healing, prosperity, and expansion. These particles are not imaginary. They are consciousness itself, responding to the signal you broadcast. Just as a flower turns to the sun, these beings of light turn to you when your vibration lifts. They surround you like a cocoon, infusing your heart with love, your cells with vitality, your path with clarity. They whisper possibilities into your dreams. They remind you that you are more than a body lying in a bed. You are a field of energy stretching beyond walls, beyond time, beyond limitation. And when morning comes, you will not simply feel rested. You will feel changed. You will rise into a life that begins to mirror this shift, opportunities appearing as if from nowhere, relationships softening into harmony, creative ideas flowing like water, finances aligning with ease. This is the mirror effect. Reality can only reflect the consciousness you hold. Change the vibration, and the reflection changes too. So tonight, do not fight. Do not force. Simply give yourself permission to be carried. Release the story of yesterday. Breathe into the vastness of who you are. Trust that the self who has already walked the path of greatness is waiting for you on the other side of sleep. And tomorrow, when you wake, do not be surprised if the world feels lighter, brighter, more alive. For it is not the world that has changed, it is you. The mirror only follows. Tonight is not just another night. Tonight is the turning point. The night you remember who you truly are. The night the future steps into the present, and you awaken as the self you were always meant to be. 1. Activate joy and creative energy. There is a river inside you that has never run dry. Even in the hardest times of your life, when the nights felt endless and the weight of sorrow pressed against your chest, that river was still flowing quiet, steady, waiting. It is the river of joy, not the kind of joy that comes and goes with circumstances, not the fragile joy of a sunny day that turns stormy, but the deeper current that has always been yours, hidden beneath the noise of the mind. Most of us forget it because we've been trained to look outside ourselves for happiness. We chase accomplishments, possessions, approval, thinking that joy lives out there somewhere. But if you've lived long enough, you know the truth. The more you chase, the more it slips away. The real treasure has been within you the entire time. When you begin to remember this joy, even for a moment, it changes everything. Think of a time when laughter surprised you, bursting out of you like sunlight through clouds. For those seconds, you weren't worried about tomorrow. You weren't holding on to the past. You were simply alive. That is the frequency we are speaking about, the raw, unfiltered aliveness that doesn't ask for permission. And here is the beauty. Joy is magnetic. When you let yourself feel it, when you allow it to move through your body like warmth spreading through your chest, it calls in what I would call the intelligent light. Some people imagine it as particles, some as beings, some as pure vibration. However you see it, the truth is the same. The universe responds to your frequency. This light knows you more intimately than you know yourself. It doesn't listen to your words so much as your energy. When you are locked in fear, it cannot reach you fully. But when your heart cracks open to joy, even just a little, it rushes toward you, like moths to a flame, like birds to dawn. The light is drawn to the frequency of your happiness. I know what it is to live without joy. There was a time when my days felt mechanical, when survival replaced wonder, when my body was present, but my spirit was numb. And in that emptiness, I thought joy was a luxury, reserved for others. Yet it was in the darkest night that I first discovered the tiniest spark within me. I remembered what it felt like to sit in the sun as a child, to hear the gentle hum of summer insects, to taste sweetness without needing more. That memory was enough. It opened the door. You see, joy doesn't have to roar. It doesn't have to come in fireworks or grand celebrations. It can begin as a whisper, as a quiet contentment in the breath you are taking right now. And if you let it, it expands. Slowly, then suddenly, like dawn light spilling over the horizon. As it grows, something miraculous unfolds. Joy becomes not just a feeling but a force. It reorganizes your energy, changes the way your cells vibrate, softens the rigid patterns of fear that once defined you. Science might describe it as a shift in neurochemistry: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin flowing freely. But on the deeper level, it is the soul remembering its natural song. And this song is a call. The intelligent light hears it and responds. Imagine tiny sparks gathering around you as you rest, each carrying a message coded just for you. One spark carries healing, another carries abundance, another carries clarity. They weave around your heart, your mind, your body, restoring balance where imbalance has lived for years. You don't have to command them. You don't have to direct them. The light knows exactly where to go. Your only role is to allow. This is why joy matters. Not because it makes life temporarily sweeter, but because it opens the gateway. Fear closes the door. Joy unlocks it. And once it is open, everything else flows naturally: health, prosperity, love, creativity. These are not rewards for being good or for working hard enough. They are the inevitable reflections of a field vibrating in harmony. Think of it like a garden. If the soil is cold and hard, seeds cannot sprout. But when warmth and sunlight arrive, growth happens without effort. Joy is the warmth that softens your inner soil, allowing every seed of possibility already planted in you to rise. And what of creativity? Joy and creativity are twins. When you feel joy, ideas come like birds returning in spring. They perch on your shoulders. They sing in your mind. They whisper solutions and visions you couldn't have imagined when you were locked in worry. The painter feels it when colors flow from brush to canvas. The grandmother feels it when she tells stories to her grandchildren and their eyes light up. The writer feels it when words pour out faster than hands can keep up. This is not coincidence. It is the natural overflow of joy. So tonight, as you prepare for rest, don't force yourself into joy. Simply remember it. Recall a moment that made your heart swell. Let the memory breathe life into your chest again. And then, let it expand. See if you can feel it not only in your chest, but in your belly, your hands, even the tips of your fingers. Imagine your whole body humming gently, as though every cell is smiling. When that happens, you are no longer just lying in bed. You are radiating. The room around you begins to glow with a presence unseen but deeply felt. And the intelligent light arrives, drawn to your frequency. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to beg for its attention. Joy has already called it forth. And by morning, the work will be done, not by your effort, not by your control, but by your allowing. You will awaken with the quiet certainty that something has shifted, that the river of joy is no longer hidden, but flowing freely again. And with it, your entire life will begin to reflect a new harmony, because reality, in the end, has no choice but to mirror the song you sing within. 2. Merge with your future self. There comes a moment on this journey when you realize that the person you have been searching for is not out there somewhere, waiting at the end of a road. That person is you, only further along, already blossomed, already whole. Your future self is not a stranger. It is the wiser version of you, the one who has already walked through fire and emerged with clarity. Picture this future self, standing just a few steps away. Notice how they move, how their presence feels. There is a calm about them, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove anything. You can sense their strength, but it's not the strength of muscle or dominance. It's the strength of someone who knows who they are. The strength of someone who no longer wrestles with shadows, because they've learned that shadows are simply places where light hasn't been allowed yet. As you breathe slowly, imagine this self drawing closer. Each breath brings them nearer. You feel the distance collapse. You begin to realize that the walls you built, fear, doubt, scarcity, are nothing more than thin paper. They were never stone. They were never cages. And when this future self touches you, those walls dissolve. I remember a time when my own walls felt unbreakable. Fear clung to me like a second skin. Doubt whispered in every decision, telling me I wasn't ready, that I wasn't enough. Scarcity made me look at the world as though there was never enough time, never enough love, never enough opportunity. And then, one night, in stillness, I imagined what it would feel like to live without those chains. I saw a version of myself smiling with a kind of ease I had never known. For the first time, I understood that version wasn't a dream. It was me, without the weight. When you merge with your future self, something sacred happens. It's not that you suddenly become flawless. It's that you begin to breathe in rhythm with a greater truth. Your chest rises and falls differently. Your heart beats more steadily. The nervous system, once so used to reacting to fear, begins to find a new pattern. And your mind, once crowded with old stories, grows quiet enough for clarity to settle in. This merging is not about pretending. It's not about acting like the person you want to be. It's about allowing yourself to remember that you already are that person. Time is not a straight line, the way we think it is. The self you are becoming already exists, pulsing in another layer of reality. And tonight, in surrender, the veil between those selves becomes thin. Imagine the breath of your future self, blending with yours, like two streams flowing into one river. At first, you may notice the contrast, their rhythm slower, their presence more expansive, their energy less restless than yours. But the longer you breathe together, the more you find yourself matching them, and soon you can no longer tell whose breath belongs to whom. You are one river now, moving in perfect harmony. And with this, fear begins to loosen its grip. Doubt starts to crumble, not because you force it away, but because it no longer fits the frequency of who you are becoming. Scarcity dissolves as naturally as mist in the morning sun. You realize abundance was never about how much you hold. It was about how much you allow. There's a tenderness in this reunion. It's not a dramatic clash. It's a quiet embrace. Your future self does not arrive to scold or to demand. They arrive with love, with patience, with a kind of gentle knowing that says, I've been here all along, waiting for you to recognize me. And when you do, there's a feeling of homecoming, as if you've been wandering for years only to return to the place you never truly left. The body begins to feel it too. Muscles souffle, as if relieved to no longer carry an identity too heavy. The heart expands, not in a burst, but in a steady opening. Like a flower finally given enough sunlight, even the smallest cells respond, pulsing with a new vitality. You are no longer just yourself. You are yourself, plus the wisdom, the strength, the grace of every step that lies ahead. This is the beauty of merging with the future self. You don't have to know how everything will unfold. You don't have to control the path or see every detail. The wisdom of that self flows backward through time to meet you here, and it whispers the same message over and over. Trust. Allow. Breathe. Somewhere inside, you may still wonder, what if I'm not ready? But readiness is not about perfection. Readiness is about willingness. If you are willing to breathe, willing to let go, willing to open your heart even a little, then you are already ready. Your future self does the rest. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't demand the seed to become a tree overnight. You water it, you place it in sunlight, and you allow it to unfold in its timing. The merging works the same way. Tonight, you plant the seed of unity. Tomorrow, you may feel lighter, clearer. In weeks and months, you'll notice your choices changing, your relationships shifting, your creativity blossoming, all because you dared to merge. And so, as you continue on this journey, breathe as if you are already that self. Walk as if the ground is supporting not only your feet but your destiny. Speak as if your words carry the clarity of lifetimes. And love as if your heart is limitless, because in truth, it is. The miracle is not far away. The miracle is here, in the quiet merging of who you are with who you are becoming. The old rhythm fades. A new rhythm begins. And with every breath, you discover that you are no longer chasing your future. You are embodying it. 3. Rewiring neural patterns and consciousness. When you close your eyes at night, you might believe that sleep is simply the body's way of shutting down, but the truth is far more extraordinary. Sleep is not an ending, it is a passage. It is the time when the brain enters its most flexible state, when the doors of possibility swing open, and when the architecture of your mind can be rebuilt. Science has given us a word for this flexibility: neuroplasticity. It means that your brain is not carved in stone. The grooves of habit, the ruts of thought that you've walked for years, can be reshaped. And what better moment for this reshaping than in the stillness of night, when the conscious mind finally quiets down and the deeper layers of self begin their work. Most nights, this process unfolds unconsciously. You dream of fragments. Your mind sorts the debris of the day. Your body repairs. But tonight is different. Tonight, the rebuilding is intentional. Instead of random dreaming, you are inviting a precise reprogramming of your neural networks. You are asking your brain to step out of the old story and begin weaving a new one. Think of it like renovating a home you've lived in for decades. The walls have grown damp, the windows fogged, the floorboards creak. But beneath it all, the foundation is strong. Sleep is the contractor that arrives to begin the work. And in this sacred night, the blueprint is not the old layout. It is the design drawn by your future self. Neurons begin to fire differently. Old pathways of fear, scarcity, and doubt start to fade, like abandoned roads overgrown with grass. In their place, new highways are built, pathways of trust, of abundance, of love. Your brain, that magnificent organ, responds to the frequency of your intention. When you choose to align with joy, with surrender, with faith in your higher self, your brain doesn't resist. It rewires itself to match the music you have chosen to play. And you will notice this not just in your thoughts, but in your body. Tomorrow morning, you may find your breath moving with more ease, your heart beating not in panic, but in steady calm. Even your eyes, those windows to the soul, will shine with a new light. Because when the brain changes, the whole system follows. I know this because I've lived the other side. There were nights when sleep offered no rest, when the mind replayed the same fears again and again, building stronger chains with each cycle. I would wake with clenched fists, with a jaw tight from grinding, with a heaviness in my chest that felt immovable. That was the old pattern survival etched so deeply into my nervous system that I forgot what peace felt like. But slowly, I learned to bring intention into rest. I began by setting the simplest of invitations: let this night be healing. Let me awaken freer than I slept. At first, it seemed too small to matter, but over time, I noticed shifts. My body would release more deeply. My dreams carried guidance instead of chaos. I woke with thoughts that surprised me, gentle thoughts, hopeful thoughts. It was as if my mind had been quietly rearranged while I was unaware. And that is exactly what happens when you surrender into this process. You no longer have to carry the burden of controlling every change. You simply allow sleep to become the workshop of your evolution. You trust that the intelligence within your brain and beyond your brain, the intelligence of life itself, knows how to build the patterns you need. In this way, transformation is not an act of force. It is an act of faith. You lay down, you breathe, you let go, and the rewiring begins. Synapses connect in new ways. Circuits of creativity light up. The nervous system finds a rhythm that matches not the old world of fear, but the new world of love. And though you cannot see it, you feel it in the marrow of your being. By morning, you are not only thinking differently, you are being differently. The way you carry yourself shifts. Your shoulders ease. Your words soften. Your decisions come from clarity rather than compulsion. People around you might even notice something they cannot name. A kind of glow. A presence. That is the evidence of neural transformation made visible. The old mind will try to return. That is its habit. It will whisper the same doubts, present the same fears. But the difference now is that you are no longer hostage. You have pathways inside you that lead elsewhere. You can choose the road of trust because it has already been built during the night. And the more you walk it, the stronger it becomes, until it is no longer an option, but your natural state. This is how consciousness evolves, not in one dramatic leap, but in the quiet repatterning that takes place, night after night, breath after breath. The brain is not your prison, it is your instrument, and tonight, it is being tuned to play the song of your higher self. So when you rest, remember you are not falling into emptiness. You are entering the sacred workshop where identity is rewritten, where thought becomes aligned with love, where the very wiring of your being is adjusted to carry more light. And tomorrow, when you rise, do not dismiss the difference as small. Notice the ease in your chest. Notice the freshness in your thoughts. Notice the quiet confidence that begins to color your day. These are not accidents. They are the signatures of transformation. The truth is simple as you sleep. You are not just resting. You are becoming. You are stepping into the rhythm of a new self. And every morning, you awaken one step closer to the person you were always meant to be. 4. Recreating the body as a temple of light. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Your body is not merely flesh and bone, not simply a machine to be managed or maintained. Your body is a temple, a living sanctuary where light dwells. Every cell is like a stained glass window, waiting for illumination to pour through. And when that light enters, the whole structure glows with harmony and grace. For much of our lives, we are taught to see the body as fragile, something destined to decay. We live in fear of its illnesses, its wrinkles, its limits. But this fear itself becomes a form of self-fulfilling prophecy. When you look at your body through the lens of weakness, you forget its true design. Because the truth is, your body was never meant to be an enemy. It was always meant to be a vessel of light. In the optimal timeline of your being, health is not something you chase or desperately maintain. It is the natural state, like a flame that continues to burn, as long as it is fed by breath. The body, when allowed to realign with higher consciousness, begins to sustain itself. Cells regenerate not out of struggle, but out of their original intelligence, the intelligence encoded in you from the beginning of creation. Think of each organ, each system, each rhythm of your body as part of a sacred orchestra. The heart is the drum, steady and grounding. The lungs are the wind instruments, carrying breath like a flute. The brain is the conductor, but not the tyrant. Its role is to synchronize, not to dominate. And when light enters this orchestra, everything plays in tune. No instrument is strained. No rhythm is offbeat. The music of life becomes effortless. I know what it feels like when the music seems broken. I remember mornings when my body felt heavy, my joints stiff, my breath shallow. It seemed as if life itself was draining out of me. Those were the days I thought my body was betraying me, but in truth, it was only echoing the vibrations I carried inside. My temple had grown dim, not because it lacked light, but because I had closed the windows. The shift came when I learned to see my body differently, not as a burden, but as a sacred place. Instead of fighting its aches, I began to listen to them. Instead of fearing its aging, I began to honor its resilience. And in that gentleness, something awakened. My breath deepened. My energy returned. My body, once seen as fragile, revealed itself as luminous. When you align with this awareness, every cell begins to respond. Science has shown us that our cells are not fixed. They are in constant renewal. The lining of your stomach replaces itself in days. Your skin regenerates in weeks. Even your bones, seemingly solid, are reborn over time. You are not a static being. You are a living river of change. And when you infuse this river with light, the current carries vitality, not decay. Imagine your blood as a stream of golden particles, flowing freely and cleansing every corner. Picture your nervous system as a network of shining pathways, carrying not stress, but messages of peace. Envision your skin as radiant, not because of youth alone, but because of the inner glow rising from within. This is not fantasy. It is the reality your body can hold when you allow it to become a temple of light. And what about time? We have been conditioned to believe that time is the great thief, that it steals beauty, health, and strength. But what if time is not your enemy? What if, in the optimal flow of consciousness, time bends differently? When your body is aligned with light, youth is no longer tied to age. Vitality is not stolen. It is renewed. You may not stop the clock, but you rise above its tyranny. You carry a timeless presence, one that others feel even before they understand it. This is not about denying reality. The body will still change. Seasons will still come and go. But the way you experience those changes is transformed. Wrinkles no longer symbolize loss. They become lines of wisdom etched by the divine artist. The slowing of pace is no longer weakness. It is grace. The body choosing to move with the rhythm of truth rather than the rush of fear. When you see your body as a temple, you begin to care for it not from anxiety, but from reverence. You nourish it with foods that carry life. Not because you are afraid of illness, but because you honor the sacred space. You rest, not out of exhaustion, but because the temple deserves quiet moments. You move, not to punish or perfect, but to let the energy flow through every hall and chamber of your being. In this way, health becomes self-sustaining. The temple maintains itself because it is designed to. All you must do is allow the light to keep entering, to open the windows wide. The cells will remember. The systems will harmonize. The body will glow. And as you live this way, others will notice. They may not know the secret, but they will see it. They will ask why your eyes shine, why your presence feels so alive, why your body seems to defy the weight of years. And the answer is simple. You remembered. You remembered that your body is not a cage, but a cathedral, not a burden, but a beacon. So tonight, as you surrender to sleep, let this be your vision. Picture your body bathed in light, each cell illuminated like a star in the vast sky. See yourself not as fragile, but as radiant. Trust that in the optimal timeline, your temple sustains itself, glowing with vitality that no darkness can extinguish. Tomorrow, when you awaken, step into your day as the keeper of this temple. Walk gently, breathe deeply, honor the light within, because your body is more than you ever imagined. It is the living proof that you are, and have always been, made of light. 5. Expanding love and relationships. There comes a moment on the inner path when you realize love was never something you had to search for. It was never hidden in another's arms, never locked away in the approval of a parent, a partner, or a child. Love has always been the quiet essence of who you are. And when you begin to live from that truth, your relationships shift, like constellations realigning in the night sky. For so long, many of us carried the silent hunger of the heart. We thought love meant filling a hole, patching an emptiness, completing a lack. This belief turned our connections into transactions. I give you this, so you will give me that. But in the quantum field of awakening, love is no longer currency. It is atmosphere. It is the air you breathe, the water you swim in. And once you remember that, you stop gasping, stop clutching, and begin simply to live. I remember a time when I held relationships with desperation. I wanted others to stay so that I would not feel abandoned. I wanted them to see me, so I would not feel invisible. I wanted them to give, so I could feel worthy. And yet, each grasp pushed them further away. My fear became a wall, and my longing became a prison. The irony was painful. The more I tried to hold on to love, the less I felt it. The shift came the night I stopped chasing and began listening. I sat quietly, alone, and instead of asking the world to love me, I asked myself, what does it mean to be love? The answer did not come in words, but in sensation, a warmth blooming in my chest, as if the heart itself remembered its song. That warmth spread through me, softening the ache, dissolving the hunger. For the first time, I realized I had never been unloved. I had only forgotten how to recognize the love that was always here. From that moment, relationships became different. People appeared in my life not because I needed them to heal me, but because together we could create more light. It was like meeting fellow travelers on a long road, souls who carried their own lamps, who walked beside me, not out of obligation, but out of resonance. Conversations deepened. Silence became comfortable. Even moments of parting were no longer tragic. Because love was not lost, it simply continued flowing in new directions. When you expand love in this way, you begin to attract soul-aligned connections. These are not the people who mirror your wounds, but those who mirror your wholeness. They do not come to complete you, they come to celebrate you. And in their presence, you feel an ease, as if you have known them across lifetimes. Science tells us that coherent energy fields synchronize when two pendulums hang on the same wall. Eventually, they swing together. When hearts beat in harmony, waves of resonance ripple out into the room. This is what happens with relationships at higher frequencies. You no longer cling or compete. You simply resonate. And in that resonance, trust grows effortlessly. This does not mean relationships become free of challenges. On the contrary, true love often brings old shadows into the light. But the difference is, you no longer fight each other. You face the shadows together. Disagreements become opportunities for deeper understanding. Wounds become invitations for compassion. The relationship itself becomes a vessel for evolution, a shared temple where two or more beings step into greater awareness side by side. Think of a tree. If it grows alone in a barren field, it will reach for the sky, but its roots may remain shallow. If it grows in a forest, surrounded by others, its roots will intertwine underground, sharing nutrients, sharing strength. This is what relationships in love become, a network of roots supporting one another. Unseen, but essential. Together, you withstand storms that alone you might not survive. And what about romantic love? When it flows from this deeper awareness, it is no longer about possession or fear. It is not the anxious question, will you stay with me forever? But the gentle truth, I am grateful we meet here. Now, it becomes less about holding on, more about holding space for growth, for joy, for the unfolding of each soul's journey. Love turns from a desperate flame into an eternal hearth. steady and warm. Even beyond romance, you will notice love weaving through every encounter. A stranger's smile at the market becomes a spark. A child's laughter in the park feels like a blessing. Even the simple act of breathing in sync with the earth beneath your feet feels like communion. In this way, your circle of relationship expands beyond people. It includes animals, trees, the stars above. You recognize that you are never truly alone, because life itself is relationship. The greatest revelation of all is this: love is not something you receive, it is something you allow to flow through you. And the more you let it flow, the more it multiplies. Just as rivers do not run dry when they reach the sea, your love does not diminish when shared. It expands, nourishing everyone it touches. And so, in this new state, your relationships are no longer about need, but about presence. You meet others not because you are incomplete, but because together you amplify the beauty of existence. You are like tuning forks, each vibrating with your own tone, yet together creating chords of harmony that fill the world with music. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, invite this awareness into your heart. Imagine yourself surrounded by souls who love you, not out of condition, not out of expectation, but out of resonance. Feel their presence like stars in a vast sky, shining beside you, reminding you that love is never scarce. It is infinite, woven into the very fabric of your being. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes, carry this truth into your day. Greet each encounter as sacred. Let kindness flow easily. Let compassion rise naturally. Because when you embody love, the world responds in kind. Relationships flourish, not because you control them, but because you allow them to be what they were always meant to be, mirrors of your infinite heart. 6. Affirmation and subconscious programming. There is a quiet power in the words we whisper to ourselves. Words are not simply sounds, they are carriers of vibration. And vibration is the architecture of reality. Every thought, every phrase you repeat becomes a kind of blueprint, a signal that tells the universe, this is the structure I choose to inhabit. Think of affirmations as seeds. When you speak them with presence, you are planting them into the soil of your subconscious. And just like any seed, they do not sprout overnight. They require patience, consistency, and the gentle waters of belief. But once they root themselves deep within, they shape the entire landscape of your life. The subconscious mind is like fertile ground. It does not argue, it does not analyze, it does not reject. It simply receives and nurtures whatever is placed within it. If the seeds sown are words of fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, then weeds of limitation grow strong. But when the seeds are words of wholeness, abundance, and truth, the subconscious grows forests of possibility. This is why the state of sleep is so sacred. As you drift into the deep cycles of rest, the conscious mind, the gatekeeper, steps aside. In those hours, the subconscious is wide open, listening, absorbing, weaving new patterns. This is the moment when affirmations are no longer just statements. They are instructions to the very fabric of your being. Imagine lying in bed, your breath slow and steady, and whispering within, I am my optimal self. I live in the timeline of fulfillment. At first, they may feel like words floating on the surface. But as you repeat them, night after night, they begin to sink deeper. Soon they are not just spoken, they are believed. And when belief settles in the subconscious, it becomes law. Science is beginning to affirm what mystics have long known, that language can rewire the brain. Neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to form new pathways, means your repeated affirmations carve fresh grooves in the mind. Like rivers shaping follies, your words create channels through which energy flows more freely. Over time, the old pathways of fear grow weaker, and the new pathways of truth grow strong. But it goes even deeper than the brain. Research in epigenetics shows us that our environment and beliefs influence how our genes express themselves. This means the words you speak to yourself are not just ideas, they can become instructions to your DNA. They awaken dormant codes, switch on patterns of resilience, and call forth potentials you didn't know were waiting. In this sense, affirmations become more than hope. They become biology. I remember when I first began this practice, I felt awkward, even foolish, repeating phrases like, "I am whole," or "I am guided." My mind resisted, insisting, "That's not true. Look at your life. Look at your struggles." But I persisted, not out of force, but out of trust. Night after night, I spoke them quietly as I drifted into sleep, and slowly, the resistance softened. One morning, I woke and noticed that the inner critic, once so loud, was strangely silent. In its place was a calm presence, a subtle certainty. The words I had repeated were no longer affirmations, they were truths. This is the miracle of subconscious programming. It bypasses the fragile surface of willpower and reaches into the bedrock of identity. You are not trying to force yourself into belief. You are allowing truth to become your second nature. Affirmations work best not through strain, but through surrender, like songs sung to a child until the melody becomes a part of their soul. And so, I invite you to see affirmations not as chores, but as sacred rituals. Speak them with love, not desperation. Feel them as invitations, not demons. When you say, "I am my optimal self," breathe it into your body. Let your cells hear it. Let your heartbeat echo it. When you declare, "I live in the timeline of fulfillment," imagine your future self, smiling, already walking that path, already welcoming you into it. Remember, you are not programming the subconscious to become someone else. You are programming it to remember who you have always been. These affirmations are not inventions. They are revelations. They peel away the lies of unworthiness and scarcity, revealing the radiant truth of your being. With time, you will notice the shifts. Choices will feel easier, guided not by fear but by clarity. Old patterns will dissolve, as if they were never truly yours. Opportunities will appear, aligned with the frequency of your affirmations. And when you speak, others will feel the resonance of someone who lives in alignment with their words. To practice this, keep your affirmations simple and powerful. Repeat them gently before sleep, as if tucking them under your pillow. Examples such as, "I am whole. Here and now, I am aligned with the highest flow of life. I am light embodied in form." Do not just repeat them, embody them. Feel them vibrate through you as reality already unfolding. As you drift into sleep, let the words become like lullabies, singing you into the quantum field where reality bends and reshapes itself. Trust that while you rest, your subconscious is building new structures, laying new foundations. Trust that your DNA itself is listening, responding, recoding, and when morning comes, rise with the quiet assurance that the seeds are already sprouting. Even if you cannot see them yet, beneath the surface, the roots are growing strong. Each day, you water them with repetition, with faith, with presence, and soon they will blossom into visible change. Affirmations are not about pretending, they are about planting. And what you plant with intention, with love, with consistency, cannot help but bear fruit. So let your final thought each night be a seed of light. Let your last breath before sleep carry truth into the soil of your being. And when you awaken, you will not only see the world differently, you will see yourself differently, because you will have remembered you are your optimal self. And fulfillment is not a dream to chase, but a timeline you are already living. 7. Experiencing spiritual and material freedom. Freedom is often misunderstood. Many believe it means breaking chains, escaping rules, or running away from responsibilities. But true freedom, the kind that transforms your life, is not about getting out. It is about living in break. It is not about rejecting the world. It is about remembering your place within it, moving with it, and allowing it to flow through you. In the optimal timeline, freedom is not something you fight for. It is the natural rhythm of existence itself. You no longer measure your worth by the ticking of the clock or the numbers in your account. You no longer negotiate your joy based on what others think or what circumstances appear to dictate. Instead, freedom becomes like your breath, always present, always accessible, and entirely natural. I know what it feels like to live without freedom. There were days when I woke up with the weight of time pressing on my chest. Deadlines, expectations, the constant fear that I was falling behind. Money became a tyrant, either too little, causing fear, or even when there was enough, never feeling secure. Circumstances seemed like cages I could not escape. And yet, what I did not realize then was that the cage was not outside, it was inside. It was the belief that I was powerless. It was the story that freedom was always somewhere else, in some future moment. If only I could earn it. The shift happened slowly, like dawn, breaking through a long night. I began to see that time, money, and circumstances were not enemies. They were mirrors, showing me how much of my energy I was giving away to fear. And the more I trusted in life, the more those mirrors changed. Bills were still there, but they were met with unexpected ease. Responsibilities remained, but they felt lighter, almost guided. Time did not vanish, but its pressure softened, replaced by a flow that carried me instead of crushing me. Spiritual freedom comes first. It is the realization that you are not trapped by your mind's stories. You are not the prisoner of your past, nor the hostage of your future. You are awareness itself, the vast sky in which all experiences rise and fall like passing clouds. When you rest in this truth, you stop clinging, stop resisting, and begin simply to be. And in that being, a profound spaciousness opens. From this spaciousness, material freedom naturally follows. Because when your energy shifts from fear to trust, from lack to wholeness, the external world reorganizes. Opportunities appear where before there were walls. Resources flow where before there was scarcity. People arrive at the perfect moment, bringing support, connection, or wisdom. Life begins to feel like a dance, where each step is guided, each turn is timed, and you are never truly out of rhythm. This is not to say challenges vanish. They don't, but they no longer enslave you. Instead of fearing lack, you recognize abundance in forms you had overlooked. Instead of resenting time, you see it as a canvas on which you paint. Instead of seeing circumstances as barriers, you see them as doors sometimes closed, sometimes opening, but always leading somewhere meaningful. Think of a river. If you stand in the middle and resist, the current feels like an enemy. It pushes, it pulls, it threatens to knock you down. But if you learn to float, the same current carries you forward, effortlessly. That is what freedom feels like. Not the absence of the river, but the trust that it is guiding you exactly where you need to go. And in this freedom, gratitude blossoms. You no longer curse the clock. You honor the hours as gifts. You no longer chase money with desperation. You welcome it as a partner in creation. You no longer shrink in the face of circumstance. You see it as the sculptor shaping your growth. Freedom is no longer something to achieve. It is something to remember. When this freedom permeates your life, you begin to embody it for others. Your presence becomes calming, expansive. People feel safe around you because they sense that you are not bound by fear. You are not running, not grasping, not clinging. You are simply here, free, And in that presence, they begin to remember their own freedom too. Material freedom, in this light, is not about amassing wealth or controlling every outcome. It is about trust in the flow of provision. When you live aligned with love and truth, what you need comes, not always in the form you expect, but always in the timing that serves you. The right doors open, the right support arrives. Even delays reveal themselves as blessings in disguise. Imagine walking through your day without the constant whisper of not enough. Imagine feeling at home in time, no longer racing against it. Imagine meeting each circumstance, not with dread, but with curiosity. What is life teaching me here? This is what freedom feels like: lightness, a spaciousness, a steady heartbeat that reminds you that life is not happening to you, but with you. As night falls and you prepare for rest, breathe in the truth of this freedom. Whisper to yourself, I am free, here and now. Time serves me, money supports me, life guides me. Let those words sink into your subconscious, rewriting the stories that once kept you captive. Let them plant new roots of trust, so deep that no storm can uproot them. And when you awaken tomorrow, notice how life feels. Notice how even the smallest details, the way light falls through the window, the way your body breathes without effort, remind you that freedom is already yours. You are not waiting for it. You are living in it. Freedom, in its truest form, is not the absence of limits. It is the presence of alignment. It is the recognition that everything arrives in its own perfect rhythm. And in that rhythm, you are free. 8. Recreating the whole of reality. There is a moment, subtle but undeniable, when the shift inside you becomes visible outside. It is as though the world itself leans in to match your rhythm. The money you once chased begins to arrive more naturally. The work that felt heavy becomes aligned with your gifts. The home you dreamed of suddenly feels within reach. Health is no longer a battle, but a song your body remembers. Creativity flows not in rare sparks, but as a steady flame. Every piece of your life begins to hum with the same frequency. Your frequency. This is what it means to recreate your reality. It is not about forcing circumstances into place. It is not about controlling every detail, micromanaging every outcome. It is about syncing the outer world with the inner transformation that has already happened. Like a mirror, reality cannot help but reflect the vibration you hold. And when your vibration shifts, the mirror has no choice but to change. I know how tempting it is to believe the outside must change first. We think, if I had more money, I would feel safe. If I had a better job, I would feel fulfilled. If I lived in my dream home, I would feel at peace. But life does not move in that order. Safety, fulfillment, and peace must first become your inner atmosphere. Only then does the outer landscape rearrange to reflect it. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station is already broadcasting, but you cannot hear the music until you adjust the dial. Your inner frequency is that dial. When you tune to scarcity, you hear static. Life feels harsh, fragmented, unkind. When you tune to abundance, the signal clears, and suddenly the music of opportunity, synchronicity, and joy pours in. The broadcast didn't change, you did. In this state, money becomes a reflection of flow, not fear. You stop grasping at it like sand slipping through your fingers. Instead, you allow it to circulate, knowing it moves like breath, always returning, always renewing. Work transforms from a burden into an offering, a place where your essence contributes to the whole. Health aligns with vitality, not because you force the body, but because you listen to it. Creativity becomes play, effortless and joyful. Like a child, painting without concern for the outcome. Even your environment begins to shift. The home you once only imagined may appear not through struggle, but through resonance. You find yourself drawn to spaces that nourish you, colors that uplift you, surroundings that feel like an outer echo of your inner peace. And when you walk into that home, you realize it is not just a house, it is an extension of your frequency. This is not magic in the way the world often defines it. It is alignment. It is the natural law of resonance, like attracts like. Just as a tuning fork vibrates in harmony when another of the same frequency is struck, life arranges itself to match the song you are singing within. I remember when I first saw this truth unfold. I had been practicing inner alignment for months, focusing on trust instead of fear, presence instead of grasping. Outwardly, nothing seemed to change at first. But then small shifts began: a stranger offering kindness, a new opportunity opening, a check arriving just when it was needed. Slowly, the pattern grew undeniable. Life was mirroring my state of being. And as my inner state stabilized, the outer shifts became larger, more visible, more extraordinary. It is important to say, this recreating your reality does not mean everything becomes perfect in the way the mind imagines. Challenges still arise. Unexpected turns still come, but you begin to see them differently. They are not punishments, not obstacles. They are part of the new alignment adjustments, helping you refine your vibration even more. And because you no longer resist them, they pass more quickly, leaving behind wisdom instead of wounds. This is the freedom of living as a conscious creator, knowing that you are not separate from your reality. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the one shaping it, moment by moment, through the frequency you carry. And when that frequency is anchored in wholeness, love, and trust, reality becomes a canvas of beauty. Picture yourself standing in the center of your life, like the heart at the center of a vast mandala. Every line, every color, every pattern radiates outward from you. Money, work, health, relationships, creativity, all are petals of the same flower. And as your inner state blooms, the entire mandala blossoms with you. This realization changes the way you move through the world. You no longer chase. You no longer beg reality to give you what you lack. You live in a quiet confidence, knowing that everything you truly need is already coded in your frequency. You trust that life will reveal it in the right way, at the right time, and because of that trust, if you experience peace, not someday, but now, so tonight, as you prepare for rest, imagine your life as a great puzzle. Until now, the pieces may have seemed scattered, disconnected, but as you breathe, as you surrender, as you allow the higher frequency of your being to lead, the pieces begin to click into place. Money flows into its place. Work aligns with purpose. Health vibrates with energy. Love surrounds you in all directions. And creativity dances like firelight in the dark. The picture becomes whole. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes, step into your day with this truth. The world outside is nothing but a reflection of the light inside. The more you nurture that light, the more radiant your reality becomes. You are not just living in the universe, you are shaping it, co-creating it, dancing with it. This is the deepest freedom to realize that reality is not something that happens to you. Reality is something that happens with you. And as you step fully into your optimal timeline, every corner of your life begins to shine with the truth you have always carried, that you are both the creator and the experiencer, the artist and the artwork, the dreamer and the dream, awakening into the optimal timeline. Tonight is not simply another night of sleep. Tonight is a threshold, a crossing, a rebirth into the timeline of your highest becoming being. The moment your head rests on the pillow, the old chapters begin to close, not with drama, not with force, but with the quiet grace of a candle extinguishing itself when the sun has already risen. As you drift, you are not falling into unconsciousness. You are stepping into a deeper awareness, one that does not require effort or striving. It is here, in the stillness between breaths, that the old dissolves and the new emerges. The stories that told you that you were limited, broken, or lacking those stories lose their power in the silence. What remains is the truth you have always carried. You are whole. You are light. You are more than you ever dared to believe. And when morning comes, something subtle yet extraordinary unfolds. You do not wake with the heavy thought, "I must try to become better today." You wake with the simple recognition, "I am." You have already become. No more pretending. No more striving to fix what was never broken. You step into the day as a complete being, free, loving, abundant, and infinitely creative. Life itself begins to mirror this realization. Reality is not an indifferent backdrop. It is a living mirror, always reflecting the state of your being. When you see yourself as limited, life obliges and shows you walls. When you see yourself as abundant, life opens doors. When you honor yourself as love, love appears in faces all around you. And now, as you step into this new rhythm, the mirror will show you what you have remembered, a self radiant with light, walking in freedom, embraced by wholeness. I know how difficult it can be to trust this at first. For years, I woke each day carrying the same weight, convinced that change required endless effort. I believed that if I pushed hard enough, sacrificed long enough, perhaps life would finally reward me. But the truth is, the reward was never waiting at the end of exhaustion. It was here all along, hidden beneath the noise of striving. The moment I surrendered, the moment I stopped trying to force my becoming, life revealed what had always been mine. This is the paradox of awakening. You do not climb into your highest self by effort. You sink into it by letting go. Like water returning to the ocean, you merge with what you always were. The optimal timeline does not appear because you demand it. It appears because you allow it. And as you live from this state, everything shifts. Work becomes an expression of joy instead of obligation. Money becomes a tool of creation instead of a source of fear. Relationships become reflections of mutual growth instead of contracts of need. Health becomes the natural rhythm of your body, not a battle to be won. Creativity flows like breath, effortless and alive. This is not a fantasy. It is the natural order of a life aligned with truth. It is what happens when you remember that reality bends to consciousness, not the other way around. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, let this remembrance carry you. You are not drifting into sleep as the same person who began this day. You are releasing the weight of the old self, the illusions that kept you small, the fears that kept you bound. You are stepping into the field of infinite possibility, where every frequency you hold becomes the architecture of tomorrow. Breathe in deeply and feel it. The rebirth has already begun. With every exhale, you shed what no longer belongs. With every inhale, you draw in the light of your optimal self. This is not effort. This is not struggle. This is the natural flow of awakening, as certain as night turning into day. And when you open your eyes tomorrow morning, you will notice it. The air will feel different. The light will fall softer. The burdens that once defined you will seem strangely distant, as if they belonged to someone else. Because in truth, they did. The one who carried them no longer exists. What remains is you, unbound, whole, radiant, a being who walks in freedom, who loves without fear, who creates without limit, a being who knows that reality is not an enemy to be conquered, but a mirror waiting to reflect the beauty of what you have allowed yourself to remember. So let tonight be the turning point. Let tonight be the moment of quiet rebirth, not into someone new, but into who you have always been. And from this night forward, reality itself will conspire with you, mirror you, celebrate you, because the truth is simple. Yet profound, you have arrived. You are the light you sought. You are the wholeness you longed for. You are already living in the brilliance of your optimal timeline. Rest now, knowing that the mirror will reflect your true self, and rise tomorrow, not as a seeker, but as the one who has found